Thank you so much for yet another episode of my biggest blunders failing forward. Today I have I'm looking forward to this discussion. I don't know the story. I've known her for a while, but I know there's a story, and I'm hoping today she will be vulnerable enough to open up. Let's welcome Reneilwe, Marengwa. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll start from the beginning. You take us through where you come from, where Reneilwe is, when you grew up. So we'll start with that, just a background for those who don't know you.
Okay. Reneilwe grew up in Marengwa.
Garanga.
Garanga through and through.
Okay.
Went to Tsoho.
Oh, wow.
I'm a product assistant Kolomkil.
Oh, wow. So you're so far. Okay.
Yeah, she got me to do public speaking competitions.
Okay.
Never lost a competition.
So you like arguing?
Not arguing. I'm very good at presenting information to people in a convincing manner.
So I know JJ Taban went to Tsoho. Who else went to Tsoho? Because Tsoho has produced quite a lot of
quite
big
a lot
guns.
of people. Oh, somebody who actually came from there but recently passed, who you would know, Olivia.
Omolopian.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is it still the same?
Tsoho. Sure. So I left Tsoho. I only did up till grade 9, standard 7.
Yeah.
Then I went to boarding school. I was at St. Anne's boarding school.
Okay.
So I left it pretty early. But
from what you hear?
Until my group, it was still, the Tsoho that we know. So I don't know what it's like now.
Yeah.
But I would imagine, even if it were to fall, the standards were so high that it still falls within.
Okay.
It's still great regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a great school, man.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, looking at what the people who came out from there, and the stories that I hear as well.
Yeah.
That is
they were very strict.
Yeah.
Very focused. It was impossible. You would have to be a really bad child to come out of Tsoho and not be good. Yeah.
It's like, I went to Prestige, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's similar. It's like, I look at an average student at Prestige. They passed matric. But had they went to a township school, they wouldn't pass. So that's how high the standards are.
Yeah. No, Tsoho, I think, where they got it right as well was the assessments. You do assessments before you come through. So that's why they sift out.
What?
Yeah, so they sift out a lot. So the people that were at Tsoho were bound to do well regardless. Yeah. But I think it was really honed in cultivating a lot. Yeah. And they were good also with not just doing academics. They were good with a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, so that's so from Tsoho, St. Anne's Vets. I'm a first dropout, guys.
Where's St. Anne's?
Rustenburg.
Oh, okay. So you're a Northwest person.
Girls' school, all girls' school, Catholic. So I've only my primary was a public school, and then all the other schools I've been to were Catholic.
What's with this girls' school? I went to a girls' school. What was going on for you to say I want to go to a girls' school?
I actually didn't. My parents decided for me. Great decision.
Okay.
Yeah, great decision.
Where they were like, hey, boys are going to be a problem here. Let's ship it out to a girls' school.
I think they were just looking for great schools.
Oh, yeah.
And St. Anne's was also, like I said, moving from Catholic to Catholic. Okay. So great schools either way. Yeah. But with boarding school, remember, because we only came home holidays, so I was only home.
Oh wow! Not even month and weekend away.
We did Easter, winter, September, December only, so 4 times a month.
Wow.
We were gone for 3 months.
Okay.
So then you have no choice but to be good because there's only because it's a Catholic one.
Yeah.
I felt like we were almost like in nun training, even though we're not nuns, because they were that strict. So you only have an option to study.
Yeah.
Or nothing. And we're very competitive because they tell you as well after when you arrive that they only took the position 1 and 2s from all the schools.
What?
So immediately when you get to school, you're
it's on.
Yeah. So you thought you were special. You're number 1 from your school. Oh, we only have number 1s and number 2s.
Oh my word.
So it was very competitive.
Just like the Olympics, like
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. We
word.
competed, and then they had this thing every mid-year, so June end of the year, where they announce the top 5.
Okay.
And you have to be on stage, so it was a thing. You always wanted to be on the top 5.
So you're smart.
I'm a smart girl.
Oh wow.
I am. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's one of my best qualities. I've never bothered about much about what I look like.
Is it?
Yeah, because I learned that very young. I had a cousin who was proper model girl. Yellow bone, difference, was tall. She was like a giraffe, very gracious. But that world swallowed her up very quickly.
You mean
I think
where you were?
she was also from Marengwa, so because she was obviously getting gigs and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So that so I immediately understood that education was a thing, and that beauty doesn't really matter because it fades as well. As you grow older, you change, your body deteriorates. So it's not something you can hold on to. And also, you did nothing to look this way.
Is this what is it what you believed back then?
Yeah.
Okay. Or is it something with age as you grow, you realize?
I don't know where I got it, but very early on, I figured it out. Because also, when you go to, I know it will sound weird, but when you go to like your Pick and Pays at the tellers, the ladies back then, it's changed a lot. The ladies back then were always these beautiful ladies. Yeah. So in my mind, I was like, it looks like beauty doesn't get you that far. I kind of, as a child as well, you don't have all the information. Yeah. So my thing was, don't rely on something I have no control over. I don't have control over what I look like.
Yeah.
But I have control over being smart. I can read, I can educate myself, I can always, and armor myself with information and do better. That's nobody
so
can take
I
away.
know I've interrupted your story, but because I can't let this go,
okay,
right? So I wanted to. So, I mean, there's the whole thing about pretty privilege, right?
There is.
And everywhere you go, people look at you, they stare. Surely that is an advantage, isn't it?
Do you know what? That's the other thing as well, is if you have nothing to back it up with, then your pretty privilege doesn't work really.
Yeah.
It probably will get you
in the door.
Yeah.
But it won't sustain you.
It's not sustainable. Yeah. And because I've never thought about I don't think of myself as pretty. I know I'm not ugly, but I don't think of myself as a pretty girl, so I've never had to go on pretty privilege.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. So I'm always surprised when people are like, "Oh, you look so pretty." And I'm like,
but I didn't say that. I was just.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I get it. I do get it. You know. But it's always that thing like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Yeah.
So St. Anne's vets. What were you studying?
So initially when I went with BSc, majoring in chemistry.
Whoa.
I was just like.
So you were like a brainiac.
So interesting story though. So I wanted to be a pediatrician. But my dad passed away when I was in grade 11, and I think that was tied to him. So when he passed away, that went away. So I went into matric not knowing what I wanted to do. And I knew I didn't, that died, wanting to be a doctor went away.
Yeah.
So, which is why I did a BSc, and I was like, I'll figure it out. So then I did my first year, and I was like, I don't like it. So second year I changed to a BSc, was majoring in economics.
BSc economics.
And the only thing I liked there was financial maths.
Okay. And
so
you are a maths whiz.
When I want to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so then I ended up dropping out after my third year because I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I figured,
So then you finished, you decided I'm not doing this.
So after this, I decided I want to do computer programming Java, so I did that. And when I was left with one module, I decided Java is not the thing for me.
What's happening?
With programming, you literally sit and you code, and that's it. And I knew my personality was not that. It took me a minute to figure that out, so I was like, nah.
But I mean, there's something to be said about finishing what you started, isn't it?
Well, true, but also we also differ. So I've always believed in listening to my instinct. Okay. So while I was at Vets, my first job was a waitress at the Lily Pad coffee shop. I loved it. You know when you feel like you're home, you've arrived, this is like your soul feels at home. So that waitering was that for me. So I would literally...
From the sciences to waitering?
Literally, I would bunk school just to go waitress.
Why? What was the thing? What was this thing about?
Obviously, the dots connected later on, but it was the food thing. So I was raised by my grandmother. She was an amazing cook. So I got that from her. Amazing hostess. Our house was always filled with people. And so food was always a thing. So when I got there, but I didn't know it until I started waitering. And it happened by chance. A friend of mine was working there. And he was like, they're looking for people. Are you interested? I was like, let me go interview.
So you didn't know that until...
Yeah, so I got to the interview and they were like, yes. And I loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely loved it.
Okay. The smell of the food or just the ambience, the people?
The whole package.
Okay.
So later on then, you know, my specialty now was when I was in corporate, I was doing client services as in client relationship management. I was the client relationship manager for Momentum Multiply before I left corporate. When I was at Assurance, I was in retentions, senior retention advisor. So that's my forte. I'm a salesperson and marketing person. So it started there with the waitering. So from when you walk in, how I welcome you, the food, how I serve you. My manager used to complain because my tips were always over 20% and anything over 20% he had to authorize. So what are you doing to clients? I'm like, I give great service. So for me it was even now, like I love hosting. So it's a thing, like for me it's just the environment and making you feel, because what I learned with my grandmother is that she taught me love through food. That was her way of being a very loving human being. So I see that, so I learned it from home. You know, people come and there's teas and you have to, so I learned that from home.
So what is, I mean, the transition from the sciences, technical, hard sciences, right, to dealing with people, which is soft skills, which is not, I mean, science, it's a formula, you get black or white.
I actually think that stuff is easier.
The hard sciences.
Yeah, versus
the softs.
People are very interesting. People have moods. And if you've been to a restaurant, if you haven't waited, if you haven't had that job, you wouldn't know. But services are actually very hard. You know, like imagine you having a bad day. A customer walks in with a terrible mood, you must still be nice to them and be kind.
And still smile.
And not just smile, because you can't fake energy, so people can feel your energy. So if you're just smiling for the sake of it, you're not getting that tip. And I started waitering when tipping was not even compulsory. So it was literally up to the client to decide if you're worth it or not.
One of our speakers on the platform has a restaurant at the airport. One of the airports, I can't remember which one. And he says that one of the things that he teaches his staff is to understand that the majority of the clients, because you're at the airport, the majority of the clients are emotional because they just, you know, departed with their loved ones. Maybe their loved one is going somewhere and there were tears. So so that emotion, you need to understand that.
The nuances and the kind of service that you're giving. So for example, I'm fast forwarding to what I'm doing now. So when we do markets, so I sell my pink lemonade, pink lemonade at the Linden Market. So the girls that work with me, when I do training, I let them know as well that your job don't take this personal. So when people come through and they're rude and whatnot, it's not about you. It's whatever it is that they're going through, and your job is to make their life just better. So be kind, be compassionate. Our job is to delight the customer. So whatever you do, when the client leaves the space, you must have somehow delighted them with your service, whether they're buying or not. And I always make it a point to let them know we are not here necessarily for sales. Sales happen automatically because it's a result of how well we've treated our customers. You know. So
Something like Seth Godin. Delight your customer.
I'm a Seth Godin disciple fan. I love him.
So drop out from Vets, drop out from Java. Then what?
Then I was a promo girl. Promotions, you know, like when at the movies back then would give out posters, t-shirts, caps. And then part of the lady that I was working for, Michelle Portes, the company was L Promotions. She also had us, they used to call us hostesses. So at the Privé, where big punters play, we would be there serving them because they get free food and free drinks. So we would be there serving them. So that's what I used to do back there. And the girls that I work with now, I tell them don't take anything for granted, because I was doing promotions and doing all of those things, not aware where my journey was going. Now, many years later, I hire promo girls. So,
but Reneilwe, I mean, here you are, your parents, you're a science student, you know. What are your parents saying? What's your mom saying? Like, moved from vets to being a promo girl, like.
There's frustration, obviously, because it's, you know, there's the whole tertiary 3-year thing that people expect. But I think I was fortunate that, a blessing and a curse, when my dad passed away, there was money that he made sure was available. So that is what actually allowed me to figure things out without the stress of money. And I think that was the bestest gift that I got from him.
So my dad passed 2016, and sometimes I ask myself, where would I be if he was still alive?
Yeah.
Where do you think you would be?
Lord.
Chances are you would have finished your BSc. You would be a doctor.
I probably would have been. No, I doubt it though.
Okay.
Because later on, I love children. And seeing them in pain is not something I can handle. I'm very emo, so I was like, it would have lasted only to a certain thing. My dad was an entrepreneur, so he would have understood. I think that would have worked pretty well, because he would have recognized it. Because I think it was more his dream to be a doctor. Because even before he passed, he was talking about going back to school so he could do that, you know. So I think I fell, you know how it is. As children, you want to please your parents. You know, you're trying to be the best child to them. So it was. I think it was, which is why when he passed, it went away with him. So I don't think. Eventually, life. You know, we talk about blunders, failures, and whatnot. I think failure for me, my definition of it is redirect. So that thing that puts you back on your path, because you veered off a little bit. So stuff needs to happen to bring you back. So I would have probably gone to it, hated it, failed or whatever, and then somehow would have still found my way here. You know what I mean?
Okay. We'll come to that. Okay. We'll revisit that. But so promo girl.
Yes. So do promotions. Love it too. Absolutely.
So is it about the people? Is it about saving?
It's about
people?
the people. It really boils down to that, because when we do promos, like for example, when Grant's whiskey came in, I was the one at the bottle stores giving people tasters and all of that. So the interaction with people. So I think I've always been good with that. It just one of my favorite things to like, as a hobby that has served me well, is observing people's behavior. So I've always been interested in that from a very young
people watcher.
I am, and I love it. So you get to learn certain habits about people, what they react to, and why they react to certain things. Which then, I think I'm a good listener. So I always want to hear your story. Which majority of the time people want to talk. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to be listened to or heard. So I think also very early on I could see that if I allow you to talk, then people open up and they feel. It's an interesting thing, because I think a lot of people don't feel safe to talk, which is why there's a lot of depression now and whatnot. Because people get judged, and I try not to. So I think that's why. Yeah.
So you're a promo girl for how long?
Oh my gosh, for years. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the timeline now. It's 1998, for about 5 years.
Wow.
5 years, yeah.
Okay.
About 3 to 5 years, yeah.
Okay, so then after?
Then after I decide, because I still haven't figured out what I want to do, I figure let me go find work. And my first job, I get Momentum to sell Multiply, their lifestyle program. And it's funny how my last job at Momentum, I was the client relationship manager for that Multiply that I started selling. Yeah, so it was like a full circle moment. I started telesales and all of that. And then moved from there, went to Assurance. I was the retention advisor. Interesting job. So this is where people call in when they want to cancel their policies, which I think is the crucial part of selling. So you have your initial sales, which is easy. So it's easy to get somebody in the door, right? But when somebody has had experience with the product, and they call in and they're not happy with the product to the point where they want to leave the company, like, you know, you don't want the product any longer, you have to resell the product to them. So it's an interesting job. So here's somebody who says, your guys' premium I've been paying for 10 months, 1,500. Your competitor is saying 800. So cancel that damn policy. And my job is to convince you to stay.
And what's the success rate?
Even till today, I have the lowest cancellation ratio at Auschwitz. It was 6%. That was good.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the trick to convince someone who's like, I'm canceling to, okay?
That's the trick, is not to convince them. Because inherently, we have a thing where your soul knows where you're being duped.
Yes.
And the minute you feel that, it's energy. Like, you know, my favorite thing to say is that you can't fake energy.
Yes.
So the moment anyone feels, so they may not understand it, but something will tell them something is off. And if you're trying too hard, like now I get calls from salespeople, I'm like, the training that they're getting is horrible. Because they speak like robots. Hello, you're speaking to whoever. And they think so. Normally in sales, what they tell people is, you must sound upbeat. You know? And so people, I'm like, as upbeat as you sound, if it's fake, people will feel it and becomes annoying. So something in you rebels against that forced thing, the false happiness.
Yeah.
And that's why you won't get the sale. So the trick with sales, if not necessarily a trick, which is why I don't think you can learn to be a salesperson. You either are a salesperson or you're not.
Okay, I suck at sales.
Yeah.
So how, I mean, if I suck at sales,
don't do it, because you know why. I always tell people to work to your strengths.
Yeah.
Because if you suck, even with my tips and all of that, I'll get you from here to here, so you'll get some sales. But versus somebody like me who is
a natural attitude,
I will beat you every single time.
What makes you a natural? What would you say?
Because I'm observant.
Okay.
So how I used to work, so for example, when I used to sell Multiply, right? Immediately as we're talking, I have your information in front of me, right, on the screen. So I can see your date of birth. So immediately I'm a girl, so I already know which horoscope you follow.
Oh,
so
Lord.
Scorpio, Libra.
Oh, my word.
I see your address, so already I can tell if you live in Pretoria. I know New Metro, Estelin. So when I sell the product, I go, you know, we have, I'm sure you love movies. Yes, New Metro. You can go watch movies there at 14.
So you use the data and you convert it into
in an authentic manner. Yeah. I've spoken to people where we go through the stuff, and the first 3 questions I ask, where I'm pitching the benefits and they don't apply, and I tell them this product is not for you. Thank you for your time. That's what makes me great as well, is that.
So you're able to say to the person that you're trying to convince to say maybe not.
Well, no, not maybe. I tell you, you know what, this is not for you. It's definitely not for you. And what I would get is, no, but I do want, tell me more. I'm like, no, none of the benefits are gonna work. And the reason for me that was important is, if you force somebody, if you trick them into a sale, the first debit order will go off. It will begrudge them. The second, by the 3rd time, they are mad because this is something they never really wanted, but now money is going out, people's hard-earned money. So then they will get mad and you get a bad reputation, because when they speak about your company, you know, that place, they were debiting me for a useless product. So I even had the longest retention rate as far as cancellation ratio as well, because for 12 months, nobody cancels my policies. Whereas other people, 3 months later, they call in. No, I actually didn't want this thing, cancel.
So, I mean, I know the reason why I'm afraid to sell is, and I think it's a challenge for people who have to sell. Yeah. It's rejection.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll take it personal.
How do you deal with it?
It's not personal.
Yeah, but
my job is, and this is probably what makes me a good salesperson, is that, but I genuinely care for you. So I'm not going to make you spend money that you shouldn't just because I have a target.
Yeah, but I mean, for every no that you get, what keeps you going?
So I didn't get a lot of no's. You know how they do there's a thing, which it's proven it works. Yeah. Make a lot of calls, because then your conversion ratio, I was not that person.
Yes.
So before I screen the person.
Oh, so you look at...
So chances, if I call 10 people, I'll probably get one no.
Mm.
So much so, I remember one time I went into work and I was just like off. And by 12 I didn't have a sale. My boss, Cecile Smart, I love her, my first boss at Momentum, she said to me, you need to get off the phones. And I said, why? She says, at 12 you don't have a sale, you are wasting leads because I know you. Normally it was, if I call, I'm getting the sale. If I call, I'm getting the sale. So for me, again, it's that natural salesperson thing.
Yeah.
So I never had to do the call 100 people because you'll get.
Yeah.
To work, I never worked the numbers.
It sounds funny.
Yeah, I never worked the numbers. So
Okay.
I'm very intentional. I'm very purposeful. I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I don't pick up the phone for the sake of selling.
Yeah.
I pick up the phone because I think you're a good person to speak to.
So you have scouted the market. You know which animal is limping.
Yeah.
If you were to attack it, you'll catch it quick. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's smart.
So
Okay.
I don't force anything. I'm genuine because I would hate for somebody
Okay.
to trick me into doing something.
All right. So momentum and then assurance.
And then back to momentum.
Back to momentum.
Yeah.
And then
So while I
you
was
work
at
there.
momentum.
They love you. You are doing amazing work.
Yeah, so while I was at Momentum, then I decided, I had always thought I would be a restaurateur. I wanted a restaurant for some reason. So I figured, let me go study. If I'm going to hire a chef at my restaurant, at least I must have basic knowledge of how a restaurant works. So I went to Capsicum to study the food and food preparation and cooking course. So I did that and then had a catering company. And that's, so when I left corporate, that's what I did. I had a catering company. Yeah.
But before you left, what was going on? I mean, for you to say I'm leaving, did you have gigs? But,
No.
said, okay.
No, didn't have. I launched it at 2014, left corporate 2015. I already knew that my journey was going there. What pushed me though was a bad manager.
Ah.
Yeah, because I had given myself 2 years to leave, but they were micromanaging me so bad, so bad, and it made me leave.
Okay.
Yeah, before the time that I had, which was again, everything happens for a reason, because I don't see how I would have left, because you start thinking about the salary,
Yes,
and all of that, but there's no money coming in. So it was good it happened that way, because I was so blind to all the other things that would happen. So I even say to people like, oh, my friends will say, you're so brave. I was like, I was very dumb. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was pushed into a situation. My thing was when they were really pushing, she was really putting pressure on me at work with, you got here at 8:05. And I went into a hearing. For little tiny little things that had
Clock
no
watches,
bearing on
time watches.
Yeah, my clients were super happy, but on the days that I would have to go to the office, then they would literally nitpick it. And I remember in the hearing, at some point, I was like, but who gave me this job? It was God, it wasn't these people, so it's not theirs to take anyway. So then I quit. I was like, it's not worth it. I'll figure it out.
Do you think it was constructive dismissal? Maybe that was the intention?
Yeah, they were trying to, but for me, at some point, I was like, no, let me take control.
Okay.
So it pushed me into a situation where, because I had given myself time frame to leave, it was 2 years from then. I was like, okay, so it won't be 2 years, it's now.
Okay.
Let's go now.
So you left, you started the catering.
Started the catering company, and what a journey that was.
Okay.
My goodness. Yeah, that was interesting because I knew absolutely nothing. I literally went off do you know Prue Leith? Prue Leith is a chef, very famous. She's in UK now. There's a Prue Leith Academy here in SA. So I was reading her book, and it was just beautiful. And that's how she started. And she's on cook shows and all of these things. Has many books. So she's very successful, South African, but based in UK.
Yeah.
So I was reading her book, and I think that's what pushed me to the catering, which at the time also made sense that if I wanted a restaurant, you don't depend on walk-ins. You must have built a brand where people know you. So I figured, let me build a brand through the catering company. So by the time I get a restaurant, people do know me. They've experienced my food somehow, So that's why.
So what happened to the catering?
I discovered I hate cooking on schedule.
Okay.
So I'm an energy person. So if I'm not in the mood, my food will come out so
So
hard.
you were the one cooking?
Yeah, so I was the one cooking, and I'd hire people to.
But I thought restauranting, saving.
In the beginning, you have to do everything yourself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Of course,
and then as the business grows, then you hire employees.
Yeah.
So I was starting out, so I was the one who was doing all the cooking that I had.
So is it always this thing? Oh, I love doing this. You know, it's like the whole story of the main pastor is December, he's away on holiday, and you step in, you preach in December, the congregation loves you, and you realize, oh, okay, I can open my own church. And then you don't actually understand that there's actually the business aspect of the church, and then there's the preaching. And the two are not necessarily the same.
Yeah. For me, it wasn't that. It was just literally, I hated being told to cook, because that's what getting a client calling. So I had a client, it was a law firm. Initially when they started, I was meant to do once a month. Mm-hmm. They loved my food. By the time I left, I was doing every week. I was catering for them every week. So that, you know how you know you don't like something? When the email comes in, and they were perfect clients, so they paid my rates, paid me upfront. That email would come through and my heart would sink. Oh, I have to go.
Why though? I mean, this is business.
But that's how you know you're in the wrong thing.
Okay.
Yeah, for me that was the thing. I was like, this is not my thing, because you're not meant to feel like this.
Yeah.
And for me it was really clear, because the money was good. They
Yes.
they didn't question, because a lot of other catering things, government, they'll squeeze for a discount.
Yeah.
Whereas with them, no questions asked. So it was perfect scenario, no complaints, and I still wasn't feeling happy. So I was like, no, that's not it.
So what would make, you are the only one cooking?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
wouldn't you work out a routine? Like, wouldn't there be a routine that you would work on, and it just becomes second nature to you?
What do you call, what's your tagline? My Blunders?
Fail forward.
Fail forward.
Yeah.
Fail quickly, fail forward. So when you see something is not working out, don't force it.
But it's working out, isn't it?
No, it's not working out if you hate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know the thing about how do we define success?
Yeah.
For me, there are people. So, for example, this is a perfect example of it. I could cook. I'm really good at cooking. I'm a good chef. Because I'm good at that, it doesn't mean that's what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. No, I
So
get you.
it's a lot of people get stuck in that way. I'm good at it, so it must be the thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but being good at something you're not created to do, for me that's not success. Success for me is being
Okay, let's park on this one a bit.
Okay.
I'm still not out of on this one.
Sure.
So here's what I've learned,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I've learned when I was doing consultancy, that there are certain parts of your work that you love.
Yes.
And there are certain parts of your work that you hate.
Yes.
But it's a package.
It is.
They have to be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like invoicing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though I know in order for me to get paid,
Important.
it's important, but I don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's certain areas, if it's a mentorship or training or whatever. But if I have to invoice, I fall behind on my invoices, right? To a point where some of my clients will call me and say, dude, what's happening? Like right now, there's an invoice I was supposed to do. Right?
I identify with that.
Right? But wouldn't you say in what you were doing,
No.
there are certain parts that you hated, there are certain parts that
for
you
me,
loved?
this is where the 80-20 rule should apply.
Okay.
So 20%, even now, I hate admin with all my heart.
Mhm.
So if you ask me, literally, if you send me a form, like a 2-page form, I will wait until the very last moment to do it, because admin is not my thing. Tell me I must go and speak to clients about Pinkie, about create your happiness.
Yeah.
Happily will do it all day, every day. I'm good. So it's the 80% I love, the 20% ugh.
So in this case, it was the 80% you didn't love.
80% I didn't love. I was like, I must go cook. And now my energy affects the food.
Yeah.
So if I'm not feeling well,
Yeah.
they're gonna taste it in the food and I'm gonna lose them, but under horrible circumstances.
Yeah.
So I'd rather avoid that. And I was like,
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's blunder number one.
yeah.
Okay. The next one.
So then
Because I think this is important. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's important to understand, especially for entrepreneurs out there, to understand that you might fall in love with what might look like,
yeah.
from the outside.
Yeah.
You get in, it's
Yeah.
like maybe
Yeah.
not. Even though it's paying,
Yeah, so even
but it's
when it
killing
was
you
pain,
inside.
and I think that's for me it happened. That was the best scenario because I didn't have to question it.
Yeah.
So if the money wasn't there, I probably would have questioned, maybe because I'm not earning. I was really getting the money I needed, everything ideal. They didn't even tell me the menu. They trusted me that well. They would say, whatever you want to cook for us. And best client, best scenario, and I still hated it. And I was like, It's different from where a lot of entrepreneurs, because the journey is slow, because we are in this instant gratification world, that's different. So that's not what we're referring to. So that's, if you know, it's going to happen automatically where the journey is meant to be long, right? So we're not talking about, as an entrepreneur, things are not going your way and then you decide to quit. Very different. We're talking about where you figure out and you listen to your inner voice and realize this is not it. It looked great from the outside, like this is something I would be great at, but I'm still, from time to time I still do take catering gigs if the money's good and if I like the clients, I'll be like, I like them, sure, why not, if I'm not busy, but it's not something I do. So I knew it was like a once off. You know, if you tell me, hey, I have a dinner, come, and I'll do it if I'm not busy. But as a job, as this is what I'm doing, this is my path, oh no, absolutely not.
Okay, all right. I mean, we can go deeper into this because, okay, so you decide, sorry guys, I'm no longer doing this. What's next?
So at the time, when I was catering, I had already started selling Pinkie. So that money from the catering gig, that's what I got to start off the business. So I did my uniforms, bought bottles. So while I was catering, I was, shifting the money to Pinkie.
So Pinkie is this?
It's the pink lemonade.
Pink lemonade.
Yeah.
All right.
So I did my first brown sense market with all that money that I was earning from catering, just to set up. And at this point, obviously, this is still a concept. It wasn't even called Pinkie, it was just called pink lemonade. So, when you have an MVP or your minimum viable product, so that's all I had. And I was like, let's go test the theories.
Why the Pinkie though? Why?
So the name,
the product.
Why the product? Why pink lemonade?
Yeah, I mean, you could have done juice, you could have done anything else. Why this?
First of all, I did want a pink drink. My catering company, the colors had pink, like a salmon pink to it. So at some point I was like, the signature drink must be pink. So, it started with that. It evolved obviously to something deeper, but I wanted something that was also easy to make, but that wasn't labor intensive. And the reason behind that was that I understood that the product was going to be the vehicle for the message for why I'm doing this. It's not the main attraction. So our tagline is create your happiness. And that is my thing, that's my purpose. My thing is, so I figured out I knew how to be happy no matter what was happening. And my contribution to the world was, I'm going to share with women that only you create your happiness, and it's work. So happiness, we define it as love that comes from within. I got it from Don Miguel Ruiz. So it's the result of love that comes from within. So create your happiness, only you. Because remember, we're told to live from outside. You'll be happy when you get this job, you'll be happy when you get married, you'll be happy if, it's always outside. We even ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, they are not their thing already, because you're born with everything you need. You are going to be this from when you were young. But the system is set up that you have to go find.
So it's external validation.
It's very external, and which is why I think it prolongs the journey as well to us finding what it is that we really meant to do, because it's not finding, it's about connecting to it. So I'm not a parent, but I would imagine your job as a parent is to help your child connect to the thing that, because it's a gift. You hear bearing gifts, right? We all come bearing gifts that we serve to the world. So as a parent, your job is to help your child to grow into that, to connect with that, so that they can make it strong and live with it, and so they can serve.
So I mean, we had a speaker, Billy Slikani, talk about the ikigai, Japanese principle of doing what you love, paying it well, and being good at it. And at the intersection of those three elements, I'm sure there's more, but what you love, what you're good at and what pays you well.
Yes.
That's the ikigai moment. Do you think we have found that ikigai moment with Pinkie?
With Pinkie? Yes.
Yeah.
For me, that was it. So before I started Pinkie, I started making this in 2014 because I went to a market and as we were leaving, there was like a father and son outside and they were serving normal lemonade, bought it and it was amazing. So when I was looking for a drink, I ended up with pink lemonade, but I didn't sell it, so I was just making it for friends and family when there'd be functions. But it also coincided with a period in my life where I became very aware that I was gonna die. So then the questions started coming. So when I do, what would have been my contribution? How would I have made the world better? And then that's why I started observing myself and I was like, what's the common thread of my life? And the common thread, everyone says, you're always so happy, you have so much energy. At that time I'm going through the most, you know? So then I figured, I have figured out somehow to be happy no matter what. So I know how to harness happiness even when I'm going through.
So you were not hiding it?
Hiding what?
Whatever that you were going through.
Not that I was hiding it. It's personal things. We don't go out and say, hey.
No, of course. But you were not wearing. You were not wearing.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing. But also there was a moment in varsity. I remember. So my mom and I have a very strained relationship, right? And we'd been going through stuff, and I thought I was managing it well. And there was this girl on campus. Her name was Ntato, black beauty, brush, haircut. I loved her. You know when you love somebody from afar? She didn't know me. And I just loved her so much. And I was walking back to Ray's and she was coming towards me and she said, smile, it's not that bad.
Wow.
And she just walked past and you know.
And that was when you were going through something.
So for me, that was the moment where I became intentional about creating my own happiness because I thought, oh wow, I didn't think I was showing what it is that I'm going through. But when she said that, I was like, clearly I'm wearing my emotions, and so I had to go back and reconnect to who I was as a child. I was a very happy child. So somewhere along the way with life happening, it had gotten to a point where a stranger could walk up to me and say, smile, it's not that bad.
But surely that's difficult though. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, a lot of people, you might say the system is programmed to them to look at
so
chasing happiness.
That's what makes it difficult because from the get-go, your parents, their ambition, their success is taking you through to school.
Yeah.
So it's channeling you through something. It's not, let's find out who Rosh is, let's find out what he loves. It's, you gotta go to school, you have to graduate. Do you know what I mean? That's what they prize the most. So it is difficult. That's why we're always looking outside. That's why we're always looking to the car, to money, to all kinds of things.
Happiness is, when you say to a person, happiness is an internal, it's what do they say?
Work.
It's internal work. It's something that you produce yourself.
Yeah.
It's not something that's out there that you're looking for and you're chasing.
It's work. So I don't want to oversimplify the process.
Yeah.
I mean, I went through a phase 2012. All I did every day, I'd come back from work and watch Oprah and Yala's videos, and I'd cry every single day because I was doing the work, but I was intentional about it. That I wanted to get to the root of some of the things that were not good and that I wasn't happy about. Do you know what I mean?
How do you become happy without?
Without what?
Without chasing things.
But that's the thing. It's real happiness. Nobody can take it away from you. So it's what it boils down to, really at the root of it, is gratitude.
Okay.
So it's being able to wake up to appreciate that you can hold your breath to a certain point.
Yeah.
After that, you are forced to breathe.
I think yesterday I learned you can only hold it up to 4 minutes and that's it.
There's people who do deep diving who can go a little bit more.
Yes.
However, you have to get back to breathing because you are not in charge of breathing.
Yeah.
So when you wake up and you can figure that stuff and understand what that means, then you are grateful for life.
Yeah.
You are grateful for the fact that you have good health. You are
we
are not in hospital.
Yes.
And it's only when those things are taken away, like if you get sick now, you really appreciate your health.
Okay.
If you don't have food, then you really appreciate.
Oh my
So
word.
gratitude forces you to a place where you have to really be mindful of what you have versus what you don't have. Because a lot of us, the reason we look outside is because you're always focusing on what you don't have.
Yeah. So someone said a sick person only wants one thing, but a happy person wants 1,000 things.
A lot of things. So every time I get flu, which is not often, but during that, I am so grateful. I give thanks to God all the time. Like, thank you for good health. Because in this moment, and I'm like a baby when I get sick, because I hardly get sick. I'm one of those people who hardly get sick. So when I'm sick, I'm like, I'm dying. So I pray and I'm like, thank you so much for health. And then when I'm back to myself, I'm like, thank you. That was so good, because now I know what it's like when I'm not healthy, when I'm not well. But again, it's something you have to practice and obviously do it over and over until it's part of your life to be grateful. So now I'll walk around and I'll be thankful for little things, even things that seem silly. I'll be thankful for gum. I'm like, I have gum in my mouth. It makes me, smell
So despite
good
what
or
you're
whatever.
going through,
That's why you are able to. That's why it's sustainable, because it doesn't depend on anyone. It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a personal choice to always look at your glass being full versus what's not there.
Yeah. Okay.
It takes practice.
All right. So let's get into the real. Well, not that others were. They were building up to.
Yeah.
What we here at the platform call failing forward.
Yeah.
There's Pinkie, you are happy. What can go wrong? Clearly nothing.
Everything goes wrong. If you're an entrepreneur, one of the things I got to learn about life is to embrace that life is about everything going wrong.
Yeah.
When you do that, actually, when things go wrong.
Okay. How does that look like for you?
So for me, and tie it in with the Blunders, how I got to sell Pinkie. Initially, so like I said, I used to make it for people, for my family and friends, and everyone will say, but why don't you sell it? And I said, I have no reason for selling it, because I'm never motivated by money, because they're responsible then, but you'll make money. And I said, I've never, even in corporate, I never went to anything, I never did anything because I'll get money.
Yeah.
It was always because what's the bigger thing here, right? So I refused to sell it until I understood create your happiness, and I was like, okay. So then the drink will be a reminder every time you drink it that, oh, by the way, only I create my happiness.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, then let's sell it, because now I can link it to something more purposeful. But before, so when I still was doing catering, I wanted to sell food because I knew I was selling really tasty food. And I went to Market at the Sheds. I was selling sandwiches, so ciabatta with like all kinds of things, like really fancy food. Like I like gourmet stuff, so that's what I was selling, because I was sure this is what I want. And I went there. I think my first market, I had 40 chicken fillets and 40 Prego steaks.
Prego rolls.
Yeah, Prego steaks, so we could do those. We sold 15.
You had how many?
I had 80 basically, 40 chicken, 40 steak.
And you only sold 1.5.
1.5. Mind you, the person across from me is selling mohodu wraps. The queue is long. Mohodu wraps with fries, okay? And I looked at that and I was like, I know my food tastes better.
Yeah.
It is way better. And it had like avioli, and I'm like, people don't want avioli in a food. You know what I mean? And those were good lessons as well. So I understood the thing about a niche,
Yeah.
And that guy, that was his niche. His thing was, it's mohodu, but his thing was he's gonna put it in a wrap. So it seemed more interesting than just platia mohodu that people normally sell. And that's why he was selling for $80. And I'm like, my price is also 80, but we're not selling. I was like, okay, so wrong target market for it, because my food was more elevated, so it would have done well somewhere else. But I still wanted it. So we still did the second market. Second market, I bring pink lemonade, right? But it's not the thing that I want to sell. The lemonade sells out. The food we sell like maybe 20, 25. But I'm still insisting. And I think only after the third market, I was like, okay, this thing is moving. The thing that I actually don't want to sell, that's what's moving. So what's happening? So then my blunder was not listening to my intuition. Because it had been there all along. I knew I wanted the pink drink, but I wasn't connecting the dots also listening to my intuition, trying to lead me somewhere, even with evidence of this is selling out, this is not selling.
How long did it take you though for you to get to that realization?
Probably like 6 months.
What?
Because I kept going back. Remember the markets were only once a month?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just forcing things, and it was just not working
It's
out.
quite interesting that what you don't look for is right in front of you.
And for me, this is how I define. You know, people are always asking for what's your purpose, what's your purpose. It's a thing that you do without even thinking. It's like breathing. You don't think that you just breathing. So for me, it was that. It was without me even trying. This was selling. I literally would get annoyed. What do they buy on? Okay.
It sounds so accident. I mean, there's this thing that here's this person wanting to act, and then he gets there's auditions. Takes the friend, please come with me to the auditions. I'm looking for this part. They get to the auditions. So the plan is no, let's go. I'll stay in the car, pull out my laptop and work while you are going to do the auditions. They get there. The friend says, maybe on second thought, let me take my laptop, get inside. I'll wait for you at the reception area. I'll do my laptop. The friend who wants the gig gets in there, does his thing, doesn't get the gig.
Yeah.
As the director comes out, he finds the friend on the laptop. It's like,
are you the last person?
No. It's like, we are looking for this look. And here's this person who was not there for the audition, right? And they get pulled in. The person who was there for the audition.
I went to a talk where somebody said, the things you're looking for are also looking for you.
Yeah.
So they will, and what's meant for you will find you. It will find a way. Like I know with my interview, I was an account executive at Momentum for Top Med Medical Aid. That job was so for me that when they called me for the interview, I didn't have my phone. We had gone out to movies and whatever. I come back at 9 o'clock finding missed calls and messages from HR. They were like, at 9. Her last call was, I think, at 9 o'clock at night. To say, please, when you get this, even just call me. Here's my cell phone number. We really need you to come in for the interview tomorrow. And that thing was closed even when I applied. So what had happened is I saw the position, printed it out, came back to work the next day. It was closed. I called. What's happening? No, we shortlisted already. And they're like, since you saw the advert, send your stuff. I get shortlisted. I get hunted down.
Wow.
Do the interview. So she made a boo-boo. For the second and final interview, I had to do a presentation. So she was letting me know, you've made it to the next round. This is what you need to do. But she didn't delete the email trail. Me curious, I go through the email. Somewhere in the email, it says, this is the person we'd like to get for the job.
Wow.
What that does for me, though, I go, I'm going to prove to them why I am really for the job. So I prepared so well in my interview at the end. They were like, you answered all the questions that we had. So we literally have no questions for you, and I got the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So looking back at the whole journey, from Zoho to St. Anne's to Verts to Java to where you are now, if you were to look at the lessons, if you were to sit down and look at the lessons, what would those be?
My biggest one was from that Blunder refusing is to listen to my intuition. So much so that even now where I am, since then I haven't had failures. Because then I sit and I listen to what's my intuition telling me. Where am I supposed to go? I remember.
How do you hear your intuition though?
Sit with it. Sit with whatever is happening. So normally, I'll give you a perfect example. Just before COVID, one of the big retail stores had said, we'll give you 40 stores to put your pink lemonade in. And just how the meeting went, I was like, but we're not ready. We're not ready. So I put that on hold because I was like, I know the packaging that I want to do, it wasn't that yet. But they were convinced, no, it's, we can, literally they said, we'll give you 40 stores, and I refused. And I said, let's revisit. And what happened, I was one of those people who was fortunate during COVID that I was happy for COVID because I was redoing my packaging. That this is the packaging I want because we're going for African luxury. So that time allowed me to do that. But had I not been listening to my intuition, I would have forced to go because it would have been great. Let's get the sales, let my stuff be in the store. But that would have cut the legs short of my journey and I'm not in it for short term. And I know it sounds counterintuitive because everybody's like, what? And I'm like, I'm not in it for the money. I want to build a legacy brand that lives long after I'm gone. Hopefully the brand carries on and we're still teaching women, or at least empowering them to know that they create their own happiness.
So it took me such a long time for me to know that's what Pinkie is about.
Yeah, so the name
Create
Pinkie,
your own happiness.
the name Pinkie is the word pink and pixie put together. So
Yeah.
a pixie is a type of fairy, and I believe we all have magic in us. We're here to bring our magic and serve our magic to each
Okay.
other. And pink is the color of love. So when you put pink and pixie, you get Pinkie together.
Okay. Is it not your favorite color?
No, my favorite color is white.
Okay.
So white, I mean, when you mix white and red, my favorite thing in life is love.
Okay.
When you mix red and white, you get pink. And
Okay.
it's the color of
Where
love.
can people get this if they want?
Linden Market.
Linden
Yeah.
Market.
So we'll be busy with our website. As soon as that is up and running, they'll be able to get it from there.
Okay, but for now, Linden Markets.
Linden Market. Yes.
Every
quarter.
Every quarter.
Yeah, every
Okay.
quarter.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay.
We could have carried on for long.
Yeah. Because I can see you don't finish talking. But I'm not complaining.
You're also like that. That's
No,
fine.
because the story is interesting.
Oh, okay.
The story is interesting. But thank you so much, and
It's a pleasure.
we'd like to wish you all the best
Thank you
with
so
Pinkie
much.
and creating
Thank you.
happiness out
Yeah.
there. And continue doing the amazing work.
We should
It
all-
matters quite a lot, and happiness is a very important thing, and that obviously makes you matter as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
What up, yo?